Lesson 2. Centralized versus decentralized. Centralization and decentralization refer to the way in which systems, organizations, and networks are structured, and how decisions are made. Centralization is a system in which all the decision-making power is held by a central authority or entity. Think traditional banking, social media platforms, and centralized governments. It means that one entity has control over the entire system, and it is responsible for all its functions. Centralization can lead to faster decision-making, easier coordination, and control of resources, but it can also lead to a lack of transparency and susceptibility to single points of failure. One of the significant problems of a lack of transparency in a centralized system is the absence of accountability. If decision-makers are not held responsible for their actions, they may engage in unethical or illegal activities without fear of consequences. One example of this is how Facebook's centralized nature resulted in the company not putting its users first in the Cambridge Analytica scandal. In 2018, it was revealed that Cambridge Analytica, a political consulting firm, had obtained data on millions of Facebook users without their consent. This highlighted several issues with Facebook's centralized approach and decision-making structure. This meant that there were few checks in place to ensure that this data was being used ethically and responsibly. This lack of accountability ultimately led to a breach of trust between Facebook and its users, and damaged the company's reputation. On the other hand, decentralization is a system in which decision-making power is distributed among multiple participants or nodes. It means that no single entity has complete control over the system, and it is more resilient to failures or attacks. This can lead to more transparency, accountability, and greater user control. Decentralization is becoming more popular than centralized systems, specifically in technology, for several reasons. Security and privacy. Decentralized systems can be more secure and offer greater privacy than centralized systems. Data is distributed across a network of nodes, making it harder for attackers to access sensitive information. Additionally, in a decentralized system, users have more control over their data and can choose who to share it with. Resilience. Decentralized systems are more resilient than centralized systems. For example, if the central authority or server fails, the entire system can go down. In a decentralized system, there is no single point of failure, so the system can continue to operate even if some nodes fail. Efficiency. Decentralized systems can be more efficient than centralized systems in certain situations. For example, data can be processed locally, reducing the need for data to be transferred to a central server. This can result in faster processing times and lower latency. Transparency. Decentralized systems can be more transparent than centralized systems, as all participants have access to the same information, reducing the risk of fraud or corruption. Democratisation. Decentralized systems can be more democratic than centralized systems because all participants have an equal say in how the system is run and how decisions are made, reducing the risk of a single party or authority dominating the system. These advantages are driving the adoption of decentralized systems in technology, particularly in areas such as blockchain, peer-to-peer networks, and decentralized applications. However, it's worth noting that centralized systems still have their place, particularly in situations where centralized control is necessary, such as in emergency response systems or critical infrastructure. In summary, centralization and decentralization refer to the degree of control and decision-making power that is held by a single entity or distributed among multiple participants. Decentralization aims to reduce the risks associated with centralization by providing more transparency, security, and autonomy to the users of the system. That completes Lesson 2. We hope you now have a better understanding about the differences between centralization and decentralization.